Warning everyone. This is a warning right now for everyone. If you cannot tolerate dissenting opinions or hearing something that's a little different, or you want to keep your image of me pure, click off the video now. Because we've reached a point that our ideas are so binary, it's either this or that, we have this idea that this is good and this is bad. So if you believe this, then you're bad and you deserve to be beaten, or you deserve to have your house taken or your job taken or whatever. But we've really lost the value of a devil's advocate. There's been studies showing that having a devil's advocate in a group of people discussing any given topic actually leads to more fruitful conversation. So hearing dissenting opinions or opinions that might be different or outside of the box is overall helpful to the overall dialogue. But if you're not that kind of person and you're just here for gaming, just here for fun, just click off, seriously. But if you're open to different ideas and different ways of going about things, and I guess you can stay if you're interested. So this is the political compass test. I don't think the political compass is entirely adequate, but it's just for fun. So let's start with how you see the country and the world. If economic globalization is inevitable, it should primarily serve humanity rather than the interests of transnational corporations. There's an idea that this choice is binary, that it will either serve humanity or it will serve transnational corporations. It depends on whose interests are being put forward. Serving humanity is sort of like, what is that supposed to mean? Because different people have different interests and different things that serve them, that serve their interests. Do I want the interests of Amazon, Facebook, and Google to be fluff and served? Absolutely not. Because they don't respect human rights, they don't respect privacy, they don't respect freedom of speech. They don't respect freedom of speech. They are gathering information and selling it to people, gathering your information. And they're so prolific that you can't really choose anything else. Like, YouTube is the platform. If you're gonna have a platform, it's going to be YouTube. There's other small ones, but I'm going off on a tangent. Whatever. I'm not gonna talk about that anymore. I'll agree slightly. I'd always support my country whether it was right or wrong. Again, we have a binary, and I am someone who tends to view things more black and white. But in the world, you'll find that there's not necessarily a right or wrong. It's you're helping these people at the expense of these people, or you're helping these people at the expense of these people. That's how it works. If there's, and this is another tangent about morality, but maybe we'll get into that later. But no, I wouldn't. If I thought my country was morally wrong, I wouldn't be supporting them. Especially, no. I wouldn't always support my country, even if it was doing something wrong, no. But, what do you talk about doing wrong? Their plan is to bomb every single other country? That's not realistic. No one chooses his or her country of birth, so it's foolish to be proud of it. The question is about individualism, basically. So, a country, whatever, but you're talking about a nation. You're talking about a heritage, traditions, groups of people. Of course you can be proud of that. Of course you can, if you're from China and you like dumplings, that's fine. If you're from Russia and you like pierogies, whatever, that's fine. There's nothing wrong with that. That's not foolish. If you're French and you're proud of French innovations in cooking, there's nothing wrong with that. So, no, strongly disagree. No one should be ashamed of, not just be ashamed, but there's no problem with having a sense of accomplishment or to be. I'm a Christian. Pride is a sin, but having a respect or honoring your nation, your people, your having a respect for the people that came before you, having a connection to your community? Absolutely not. Those are all things we want. Our race has many superior qualities compared with other races. Who is our race? I guess it depends on who's taken this. And this is where real dissent comes in. Real life is basically like D&D, is that the dwarves have higher constitution, the elves have higher wisdom, and the gnomes have higher intelligence. Like, it's fairly, let's see. Just a quick Google search. Greatest athletes of all time. Look at this. Michael Jordan, Jim Brown, LeBron James, Bo Jackson, Muhammad Ali, Tiger Woods, Jackie Robinson, Wilt Chamberlain. A lot of these people, Serena Williams, a lot of these Kobe Bryant, Magic Johnson, Usain Bolt. A lot of these people have something in common. Let's look at this. The Grueling Truth. The Grueling Truth's 20 greatest athletes of all time. Althea Gibson, a video about a black tennis player. Jesse Owens, black guy. Cheryl Miller, black. Carl Lewis, black guy. Michael Jordan, Muhammad Ali. So was that 1, 2? So 10 of the 20 greatest athletes of all time are black. So would it be safe to say that black people... Is it controversial to say that black people are superior athletes? I feel like that's a fairly uncontroversial thing to say. When you think about guys like Muhammad Ali, Mike Tyson, Michael Jordan, LeBron James, Mr. Olympia, a bunch of these people, Phil Heath, Mr. Olympia winner last year, Brandon Curry, Sean Roden, the greatest ever, Ronnie Coleman. They're all black guys. They're incredible athletes. And that's fairly uncontroversial. It's fairly uncontroversial to say that black people are good athletes. So, if black people are good athletes, is it possible that maybe other races are good at other things? Could we say that? Is it okay for us to say that? I'm not gonna go in, and of course, I'm sure that there's some Asian guy who's better at everything, who's better at every sport than 90% of black people. Doesn't matter. A disproportionate amount of the greatest athletes of all time are black. So if there's other disproportionate things happening, if other people are overrepresented in certain things, is maybe there a reason for that? Like, are black people keeping Asian people and Arab people out of sports, or what? I don't think anyone would say that. So real life is like D&D. Different people are good at different things. Like, it's not controversial to say that I'm not as good at basketball as LeBron James, or that LeBron James is better at staying out in the sun longer than me. So maybe there's some other things that other people are good at, and they might be better at those things than other people. So, and that's not to say that any difference is, because this person is slightly worse at basketball, that means they should all die. That's an absurd thing. Recognizing a difference does not mean you hate anyone or you want anyone to die. That's stupid. That is retarded, dumb, awful. So let's agree. Our race, it's different. It's superior superior isn't the word. It's different. People are good at different things because they adapt to a certain part of the world to live in that part of the world. And they're good at doing that. The enemy of my enemy is my friend. No, the enemy of your enemy can be an ally. I don't know. Was it good? Was it a good thing for us to team up with Russia in World War II? Is that a great thing? Is this good? Do we like this? Do we like the president of the United States? The president of the United States sitting next to Stalin? Do we like this? Is this okay? Is this good? Sorry, dude, but I'm going to disagree with that. Military action that defies international law is sometimes justified. Sorry, I'm not an international lawyer. I don't know what international law is. So, are you saying sometimes it's okay to throw chlorine gas at people? No. So, I wish there was a neutral option because I don't know what international law So I'll just disagree with it for now. There's now a worrying fusion of information and entertainment. I strongly disagree. This is something that people do not understand. And there's a small group of people that understand this, and they use it to the fullest advantage. Is that art, any form of art, is pulling you. It can sway you in a certain direction. Reading a book can open your eyes or change your mind about certain things. There's certain ideas that have not, like, there's not anything representative of it in books, like fantasy books or fiction books or mainstream movies. Like a story, like your summer blockbuster. There's no ideas that are being put forth. Because in kindergarten, like, this is the simplest thing. Something that everyone knows. If you speak the English language and you went to preschool, you know the alphabet song. That is a fusion of information and entertainment. It's a song that teaches you the alphabet. So no, entertainment's greatest value is that it conveys information. That is the point of entertainment. There's this idea that entertainment is somehow like a neutral activity, like you just shut your brain off, and I'm sure some of it is. Like, I guess watching paint dry or like ripping grass out of the ground or whatever, like that's entertaining. But no, the point of art, like the point of movies and TV, is to convey information. What might be worrying is the direction and the information that is being put forth. Ideas that are being put forth that are not conducive to a healthy society. Now the economy. We're talking attitudes, not the FTSE index. Well, okay. People are ultimately divided more by class than by nationality. No, people are divided by geography. People are absolutely divided by geography. That's absurd. Are you saying that a peasant from China and a peasant from Uganda are going to have more in common than a peasant from China and an aristocrat from China? No. That's absurd. Now, class does divide people for sure, but if you're actually out and about, looking at people, seeing who they hang out with, seeing what they're doing, people are divided by nationality. I have a friend that lives in a Jewish community. Like, it's him. He rents out an apartment, and then just a bunch of Jewish people around him, because they have their own community. They like being around people like themselves, and that's how people are. They want to be around people that share their values. This is not economic, of course. I'm going off on a tangent. Controlling inflation is more important than controlling unemployment. I'm quite worried about inflation. I remember being a kid and I could get a can of soda from a vending machine for 25 cents. I'm old enough to remember there actually being a dollar menu, not a $1.59 menu at McDonald's. So I'm worried about that escalation. The money that I'm saving now is going to be worth less in the future. So I'm worried about that. My grandfather talks every time we pass a gas station. He goes, "When I was your age, gas was 10 cents a gallon." Back, if he made $1 an hour, he could get 10 gallons of gas. I can't get 10 gallons of gas on my hourly wage. So I am worried about that. Controlling, like, how do you control unemployment? I'm gonna agree. Like, how do you superficially create work that has to be done? There's always something that has to be done. There's always someone willing to pay to have something done. Now, I do consider myself a conservative, someone on the right. And I'm sure I'll be told about how this increases prices, and if I'm worried about inflation, then I need to be controlled. I need to be worried about the government controlling corporations and deregulation. Those are the things I need to be worried about. But honestly, this starts with a premise that corporations cannot be trusted to voluntarily protect the environment, the question is assuming that is true. And it is true, but still, that's a manipulative question. If you know, the job of any corporation is to make money. That is their incentive. Their incentive is to make money. So it's not just money they bring in by selling things or performing services. It's also money they put out, expenses. And if it's more expensive to get rid of their trash like the right way than it is to just throw it into a lake, they're just going to throw it into the lake. If it's cheap to throw it in the lake, they're going to do it. And caring about money is neutral. Wanting to make money is a neutral idea. It's not inherently evil, because creating things and subduing the earth is that's the first commandment that God gives. Genesis 1:28. God blessed them, and that's Adam and Eve. He blessed them and said to them, "Be fruitful and increase in number, fill the earth and subdue it. Rule over the fish in the sea and the birds in the sky and over every living creature that moves on the ground." So any work that we do is contributing to that subduing the earth. We're making things work for everyone. If you're inventing new medicine, or if you're a cashier at Walmart, you're helping the world go around. People are relying on you to do those things. I'm sorry, that's a complete tangent. But yes, I agree. Making money and making value, really, is not a bad thing. But doing it at any cost is not. And that's true. This premise cannot be trusted to voluntarily protect the environment. That's true, because they don't. From each according to his ability, to each according to his need, is a fundamentally good idea. No. It's to each according to his ability. That's the real way you make things work. The world works by incentive. So that's if I have a fish and I come to an agreement with a guy that he gives me 2 apples for 1 fish, we both got value out of that. Because I don't have to grow the tree myself, and he didn't have to go and buy a fishing pole and pull the fish in himself. So we both got value from that interaction. If he just wanted a fish from me and I didn't get anything out of it, why would I fish in the first place? I caught that fish to trade it to him for the apple. For the 2 apples. So you need to incentivize the fish man, the guy fishing, so that he goes and does it. Otherwise, he's going to go and just fish however much he needs. And if he wants to give stuff away, that's his prerogative. But the way the world works is it's give and take. It's a system. It goes in a circle. You get value from me, I get value from you. It's not like this goofy, disparate thing. It's fundamentally a bad idea. And who decides what need is? Who decides what you need? That's the scary thing. It's a sad reflection on our society that something as basic as drinking water is now a bottled, branded consumer product. Drinking water is not easy to come by. Water that will not kill you, water that will not give you dysentery, water that is clean is very hard to come by. And the fact that we have people that can make water that is so drinkable after a horrible flood where just sewage comes out of the pipes and no one can drink anything because all the there's just sewage running through the streets during a flood. The fact that we can get water to them is an incredible thing, not a sad thing. I'm going to strongly disagree with that. Land shouldn't be a commodity to be bought and sold? I'm going to disagree. I don't really have much to say about that. It is regrettable that many personal fortunes are made by people who simply manipulate money and contribute nothing to their society. This is sort of operating on a premise. Like, does that happen? Are there people who simply manipulate money and contribute nothing to society? If that happens, yeah, if I knew how to do that, I'd probably be doing it. I'm not sure that it does happen. But I'm not smart enough to know. So if that does happen, which is sort of the premise, I'm gonna slightly agree. Protectionism is sometimes necessary in trade. Yeah, it kinda is. Because if, let's say Amazon, let's say GM can get parts for their cars for 35 cents by outsourcing their labor to the middle of Africa where slavery is still legal. And they just have their stuff made by slaves that don't get paid. That's not something that we want, so we don't like that. And there's sort of this idea on the right, or really I guess libertarian, or they call it neoliberalism now. It's just this idea that the economy is the most important thing. The most important thing is that the GDP goes up. The most important thing is that Jeff Bezos makes more money. The most important thing in the world is that Walmart and Amazon and Apple and Google and Facebook, that their stock goes up. Are you kidding me? So I'm gonna slightly agree. The only social responsibility of a company should be to deliver profit to its shareholders. It's throwing the word social responsibility, like it's responsibility to a society. I'm not really sure what this question means. But I'm gonna disagree. Cause I can't pick a neutral. The rich are too highly taxed. I think everyone is too highly taxed. I'm not a libertarian, but I understand the libertarian plight. Is that the reason? So libertarians are ultra capitalist people. They want an ultra free market. A truly free market is a market without monopolies. That's actually free. There's actual room to freely trade. And the government is a monopoly. The government will take your money and do with it what it wants, whether you like it or not. I live here in Pennsylvania, and Pennsylvania is notorious for its horrible roads. Our roads are probably, I don't know, I haven't visited the whole country, but I'd say we have the worst roads in the entire country. If you took away the signs that said "Welcome to New York" and "Welcome to Virginia," you wouldn't even need them. You would absolutely know. The second you cross that border, you would know you were in a different state because you could drive on the roads without it feeling like you're in a vibrating chair, like you're in a massage chair. I wouldn't be as upset about taxes if I felt like I was actually getting value out of the money that I'm giving. Involuntarily, that if I don't give the money, they'll come and arrest me. And that's my problem with taxes. It's not that, well, it's like I have, you have to pay taxes. I get it. The world needs money to go around. But I'm not getting I don't feel as though I'm getting value out of my money. Like if I go and I spend $10 on a hamburger and I say to myself, I could have gotten the same or better burger for $5 across the street. I can't do that. There's not a government across the street. There's not another guy. There's not someone else I can go give my money to if I'm unsatisfied with my service. Those with the ability to pay should have access to higher standards of medical care. This word access is weird. Those with the ability to pay should be able to pay for higher standards of medical care. Will be more accurate. And sure, why not? What is this higher standards? Like that their hospital bed is made of gold? What does that mean? Healthcare is expensive because you have to pay to keep the lights on in the facility. You have to pay for the very expensive equipment. You have to pay the doctors who go to school for 9 to 12 years and pay loads and loads of money to learn how to be a doctor. You have to pay them. And that's why medical care is expensive. It's a service. And I've already told you my idea of incentive. The idea of incentive, you have to give someone a reason to do something. If I would make just as much money working at McDonald's as I would being a brain surgeon, what do you think I would pick? What do you think I would pick if I would make the same amount of money working at McDonald's or being a brain surgeon? What am I going to pick? So those with the ability to pay should be able to pay for higher standards of medical care? Yeah. I'll regularly agree. Because if the question is, should poor people be given dirty needles? No. Government should penalize businesses that mislead the public. Who says no to this? I guess a hardcore libertarian would say no. And an ANCAP. A genuine free market requires restrictions on the ability of predator multinationals to create monopolies. But yeah, I strongly agree. I don't want any monopolies. Zero. Like, look, anyone who's into entertainment and into nerd culture, take a look at the properties that Disney acquired. How many of those have gotten better? How much of that's gotten better? Is Star Wars better? Is Star Wars under Disney better now? The freer the market, the freer the people. No. If the market is free to... And this is something about ANCAPs that drive me nuts. Yeah, I'm going to strongly disagree. Is that they somehow have an idea that because they have an AR-15, that if Amazon decided to turn their house into a parking lot, if they wanted their neighborhood to make a new warehouse, they said, we're putting our warehouse here, and we're going to give you $100 for your house, and you said no, you think your AR-15 is going to beat the militia that Amazon hires, that Jeff Bezos hires with his $120 billion? You think that the militia that he buys to come wipe out your neighborhood, you think you're going to beat that with your AR-15? It's idiotic. And I think that these corporations already have too much freedom. They have too much freedom to take your information, to suppress your speech, to force ideas on you that are foreign to you. Look at some of your personal social values. Abortion when the woman's life is not threatened should always be illegal. We've sort of reached the point that we know that it's alive. So from ABC 15 News, state forensics experts testify in trial of man accused of killing pregnant girlfriend. Prosecutors called several witnesses to the stand Tuesday in the trial of Darkel Foreman. He's charged with double murder in the deaths of his pregnant girlfriend and her unborn baby. We know that it's alive. We know that it's a separate entity. We know that it's a person. But there's this idea, I mean, maybe this man was just exercising his reproductive rights. But we know that it's alive. We know that it's a separate entity. It has its own unique DNA. Fetus is literally a synonym for baby. And we know that we're ending something's life. The issue now is whether or not we care about it. And this is from my local news. Mother, 5-year-old daughter found dead in murder-suicide. There's something I don't get. Women have this thing about killing their children. This isn't the first one either. You see all the time women. This recently, here's from CNN, a Pennsylvania mother said her children aged 8 and 4 killed themselves. Now she's charged with murder. When first responders arrived at Lisa Snyder's home in Pennsylvania on September 23rd, they found a horrific scene. Snyder's 8-year-old son and 4-year-old daughter were in the basement hanging by their necks from a support beam. Snyder told investigators that she thought the children killed themselves. But that story was a lie. So there's this weird, and sure, we saw the guy that killed his pregnant girlfriend, so sure, guys do it, of course. So here's the post on Facebook. And look at these people. The lady killed her daughter. Christmas is rough on many people, so sad. Remember, this woman and the little girl have grieving loved ones that will be seeing this. I think in general, people judge a situation by only seeing the outer surface and not knowing anything about their personal issues, lives/struggles they may be dealing with. Regardless, this is a terrible tragedy. Someone murdering their child is a terrible tragedy. It's not a tragedy. It's not a tragedy. It's a crime. This is a crime. Look, 67 likes. I'm saddened to hear for the loss of this woman that murdered her child. Mental health awareness is so important, especially for mothers. There's such a dire need for more mental health facilities in this area. It's unreal. So this lady murdered, she stabbed her daughter. She literally killed someone because she was sad. Look, health insurance is ridiculous. High premium, high deductible, no one can afford to seek mental health services or medication. This lady killed her baby girl, 5-year-old daughter, killed her. Because healthcare is too expensive. And look at this. It doesn't make sense. This is too bizarre. What really happened? This doesn't make any sense. She was an amazing mom. She loved that little girl. Look at these people defending her. I'm not here to pass judgment. If there's anyone you're allowed to judge, is someone who kills their child. It makes me so sad to think what that poor woman was going through. To be able to do this not only to herself, but to kill her daughter first than herself. I don't see anyone defending that guy that killed his girlfriend. But there's so many of these people. So many of these people who are defending her. Defending her, saying, oh, well, it's just mental health. Well, she was just sad. We have no available mental help. And it's only one kind of person that's saying this stuff, of course, but... So, with all these women defending this woman killing her child, honestly... I'm not, any conversation about rights and about, not actually being a kid, sorry, I don't want to listen to you because you even defend people who kill their children who are 5 years old. They're 5 years old out of the womb, and you're still like, oh, well, she must have done it because she was sad. And some people disagree with me about this, which it's fine to disagree, but at least these people are being honest. They understand that it's a life. But in their view, since the baby is taking resources from the mother, that the baby has no right to the mother's resources, which is I think it's an insane thing to say, but at least you're telling the truth. And that's really where the dialogue's happening now. No one is saying that a fetus isn't a baby, because that's what fetus means, baby. All authority should be questioned? Yeah, that's how you find out what's true. You find out what's true by weighing it against what's false. An eye for an eye and a tooth for a tooth. No one understands what that means. They think an eye for an eye and a tooth for a tooth means if someone knocks out your tooth, you get back up and punch them and knock their tooth out too. That's not what that means. That saying comes from Exodus 21. And coincidentally, starting in Exodus 21, starting in verse 22, if people are fighting and hit a pregnant woman and she gives birth prematurely but there's no serious injury, coincidentally we're talking about pregnant women and children, this offender must be fined whatever the woman's husband demands and the court allows. But if there is serious injury, you are to take life for life, eye for eye, tooth for tooth, hand for hand, foot for foot, burn for burn, wound for wound, bruise for bruise. And that doesn't mean that if the guy punches the pregnant woman and the baby's eye is messed up, that they gouge his eye out, but he has to compensate. He has to properly compensate. Like, how do you compensate for an eye? But that's, it's left up to the judge. But yeah, it's about it's about justice. It's about getting proper restitution. So yeah, that's fairly basic. I think everyone agrees with that. That if someone smashes your car window, that they should pay for it to get fixed. Taxpayers should not be expected to prop up any theaters or museums that cannot survive on a commercial basis. I'm sort of on the fence on this one. On the one hand, there is value in preserving history and museums, because public opinion about that stuff can sway. If this generation doesn't care about historic documents or historic artifacts or anything. I went to a museum in Cape Cod at the Pilgrims Monument, and they had a piece of the Somerset, which is the ship that Paul Revere saw when he warned that the British were coming. And I thought that was interesting that piece of history was there for me to see. But if everyone else doesn't care and we just throw that in the trash, what about people 100 years from now? What if they do care about that? So I feel like there is a value in preserving those things that shouldn't be subject to the whims of the public. So I'll agree. I'll disagree. Schools should not make classroom attendance compulsory. Required by law? I'm going to disagree. I think it's important that everyone needs to be educated to a certain competence. There's important skills like reading and math that everyone should know that they absolutely need to live and be productive in society. But I don't want them sending little Jimmy to jail because he doesn't want to do his math homework. All people have their rights, but it is better for all of us that different sorts of people should keep to their own kind. I'm not sure what to think. I watched a debate unfold on a comment thread between a black girl and a disabled white girl. And they were talking about white privilege or whatever. And the white girl in the wheelchair said, because she was being accused of white privilege, and she's like, so I'm privileged because I'm in a wheelchair, and I have more privilege than you just because I'm white, even though I literally can't climb stairs. But the white girl said, I don't see race as an issue. I treat everyone the same. And the black girl said, well, that's nice and all, but that's the white way of thinking. So treating everyone the same is the white way of thinking. And so I understand that I'm white and that's the white way of thinking. But if there's people that don't want to get along with me just because I happen to be descended from certain people, or because of the color of my skin, or because of a belief I hold or a value that I have, that they would have animosity against me, I don't want to live in a society with someone like that. If you don't want, I love everyone. I don't have a problem getting along with people that want to get along with me. I don't dislike people for no reason. If you want to get along with me, it's easy. I'm not hard to get along with. But there's people that hold animosity for certain groups of people, and I don't think those people should. I think that they should be able to have the society that they want. That I don't want to be forcing my view of the world on those people, and I don't want them forcing the way they think things should be on me. I think we each should have our own place, that we're not at each other's throats. Like, we sort of understand this. Like, if you have family, the holidays weren't too long ago, Christmas time wasn't too long ago, and you probably came across some people in your family that you're better, like, you're glad that they live half a country away. You're glad that they live 100 miles away from you and you only have to see them once a year. Because you don't get along. You're at each other's throats. And that distance between the two of you is better. So the more limited your interaction is with those people, the better it is for the both of you, because you don't get along. And that's true on an individual level and on a group level. It's true on both levels. Good parents sometimes have to spank their children. when you are spanking a child, you don't hit them in the face, you don't beat them with a stick. Hitting them in the soft, fleshy part that gives them a shock, the soft, fleshy part of their behind that gives them a shock that lets them know, hey, I can't do that. Honestly, seriously, I know some people who should have been spanked as kids. So I'm going to strongly agree. Sorry, guys. It's natural for children to keep some secrets from their parents. Secrets like what? I guess it's natural. Are you asking if it's not asking if it's good, it's asking if it's natural? Sure, it's natural. This one I'm sort of on the fence about. Possessing marijuana for personal use should not be a criminal offense. The comparison, and it's a fair comparison, the comparison between marijuana and alcohol, there's probably been more people killed by drunk driving than by high driving. And that could just be for whatever reason, because alcohol is more prolific than marijuana, which might actually not necessarily be true. But I think the jury is out. I don't think that we have enough conclusive scientific study on the effects of marijuana and long-term marijuana use. And it should be something that we're open to. Absolutely, we should be open to be open to studying it for sure. This is asking whether or not it should be a criminal offense. It's not asking about its widespread societal implications or anything like that. For now, and there are differences with. I'm sorry, tangent time. There's differences like alcohol. It takes an hour for you to process one drink. And marijuana can be in your system for up to 10 days. Let's see, medical news today, what does it say? Okay, body fat, whatever. What's the average? If someone smokes marijuana 3 or 4 times per week, the detection window is 5 to 7 days. So it's not that the effects last 5 to 7 days. Nah, that's not really what I asked. It's not really what I wanted to find out. But whatever. But I'm gonna agree for now that it shouldn't be criminal. I think the jury is not. It's not conclusive whether, exactly what it does or what its effects are. All the evidence, if you look it up, it's guys with man buns that are telling you all about the benefits of marijuana. And Joe Rogan. There's not any good scientific discourse on it that I've seen. Maybe it's out there, but I haven't seen any. The prime function of schooling should be to equip the future generation to find jobs. To find jobs is not. That shouldn't be the prime function of schooling, is to find jobs, but to be active and competent members of society. If that's what that means by find jobs, no. I mean, if that's what it means by find jobs, then yes. But if by find jobs it means you should go to school so you can make Jeff Bezos even more money, I'm going to disagree. But let's say that find jobs means be competent members of society. Let's agree. People with serious inheritable disabilities should not be allowed to reproduce. What's an inheritable disability? Yeah, I'm going to disagree because I don't like the rabbit hole. I don't like the rabbit hole it leads down. Who decides what's serious? The most important thing for children to learn is to accept discipline. No, the most important thing for children to learn is how to be an adult. Is how to grow up. And this is a problem, I think, with the millennial generation that I happen to be a part of, that I hate every day of. Is the millennial generation. I grew up my entire life with my parents and my grandparents telling me to enjoy being a kid. And being a kid is now extending way past teenage years into 20s of a lot of millennials, of a lot of adults, that their childhood that they have been told is so great keeps going on. So learning to be an adult is the most important thing for children to learn. Not to accept discipline, but to learn how to be a self-sufficient adult is really the most important thing. There are no savage and civilized peoples. There are only different cultures. Sorry, but if you actually eat people, you're a savage. Sorry. Those who are able to work and refuse the opportunity should not expect society's support. Strongly agree, because it's about incentive. So you work to get something. Whoever you're working for is getting value from you. Let's say you're mowing someone's lawn. If you mow someone's lawn and they pay you $50 to mow their big lawn, they got value out of you because that's an hour of work that they would have had to do. And they can use that time for the things that they're more specialized at. The upkeep of the lawnmower and buying the lawnmower and running around and all that. They're getting value out of you, and you're getting value out of them. It's a back and forth relationship. If someone is just taking, that doesn't work. It doesn't work when someone is just taking. Or if someone is just giving. If someone is just giving, you end up with people that are dissatisfied. Because if you are getting things for your good work, you want to do more good work. If you do bad work and get rewarded, or you do good work and get rewarded, why would you work hard to do good work? What does this have to do with, what is this about, the economy? Oh, social values. When you are troubled, it's better not to think about it, but to keep busy with more cheerful things. I'm going to slightly agree. There are some things that need to be worked through and processed, and that's a problem with millennials too, is that we're not, all of our connections are so superficial. We're not allowed to have like deep connections to people. You're not allowed to talk about the things that are actually like going on inside of you and bothering you, like socially, because we sort of like just roll our eyes, or you think you think this person's weird. And there are some people who are more upset about things than they should be. Like, let's not lie. That happens. And those people would be served well by thinking about happier things. My leg hurts. Well, the rest of your body doesn't hurt. And you have food in the fridge, and you have running water. You live in the 21st century where both heat and air conditioning exists. In 1902, a 25-year-old engineer from New York named Willis Carrier invented the first modern air conditioning system. So in 1902 to now, that's when people have had air conditioning. Going back into human history to the dawn of man, they didn't have air conditioning. You're fortunate enough to be born in this time where you have air conditioning. So think about that stuff. Think about the things that you have to be happy about. There's some people who only ever talk. You get around them and they bring you down because they're so negative. They only talk about, oh, this person's cheating on his wife, and this person got drunk last night and he was acting like an idiot. Maybe we need to be talking about good things. Maybe we need to think about reasons to be happy. And that's a principle in the Bible too. I'm a Christian. Always rejoice. Always be rejoicing. That's a Christian principle. First-generation immigrants can never be fully integrated within their new country. They can never be. I'll disagree that they can never be. But do a lot of first-generation immigrants fully integrate? No, they don't. A lot of them don't. But that's not what the question is. What's good for the most successful corporations is always ultimately good for all of us. I don't know. I like that I can get anything I want in 2 days off of Amazon with Amazon Prime. But is that really life? Is that worth everything else? Like if Facebook's stock goes up, is that really good for everyone with how much information they're getting from you? Now, I understand that corporations create value, that, like I said, the air conditioner, the fact that we have iPhones, we have computers that you're watching this on, a computer that I'm taking this test on. Those are all great things that were made by incentive by people who wanted to make money. But life is more than just consume product, share, then consume next product.
Don't ask questions. Just consume product and then get excited for next product.
I wish it was a neutral. I don't really care about this. No broadcasting institution, however independent its content, should receive public funding. I'll disagree. I don't really care. Like, I'm not... We waste so much money on stupid stuff. Like, is that really that big of a deal? How you see the wider society. Our civil liberties are being excessively curbed in the name of counterterrorism. Let's agree. 3-4 years ago, there were the Vault 7 leaks. What does Wikipedia say about Vault 7? A series of documents that WikiLeaks began to publish on... Oh, that was just 2 years ago? March 2017. That detail activities and capabilities of the United States Central Intelligence Agency to perform electronic surveillance and cyber warfare, such as the ability to compromise cars, smart TVs, web browsers, and the operating systems of most smartphones. And this talked about meme warfare and stuff. That was kind of funny. About meme warfare. Some memes you can tell were made by the CIA. A significant advantage of a one-party state is that it avoids all the arguments that delay progress in a democratic political system. That's true. That's true. England seems to be very happy with their monarch. America was not happy with the English monarch. We made that clear, but the issue is how that one-party system reflects the will of the people and what they want and what's in their interests. Because back when the monarch didn't have your interests in mind, you revolted and killed him and had him put him in the guillotine. And I think we'd like to think we're a little past that now, but this statement is true. I'm not saying it's better or worse, but it's true. Although the electronic age makes official surveillance easier, only wrongdoers need be worried. No, I'm kind of worried. Is the CIA looking at me right now? I mean, I am putting whatever. This is on YouTube, but whatever. The death penalty should be an option for the most serious crimes. Yeah, a guy that goes into a school and shoots at children should be put to death. Yeah, we should kill him. And this is a wider discussion of what exactly, like, the justice system is for. It again works on a system of incentive. If you say, hey, if you kill someone, we're going to kill you, are you going to want to kill someone? If I kill someone, I'll just go to jail for 10 years. Seems worth it. If I kill someone, I'll get 3 square meals a day and I'll get to hang out with my buddies. The bed might be uncomfortable, but at least it's free. Or we're going to kill you. I don't think I'm going to do it. Sorry. I don't think I'm going to murder someone. So yeah, if we don't want people to do something, threaten to kill them. That will stop them from doing it. In a civilized society, one must always have people above to be obeyed and people below to be commanded. I'm an American liberal, of course. I like freedom and stuff. But there is a sense in which it depends on your society. There's sort of the Andy Griffith show society where the sheriff goes around town and helps you change your tire and helps you pick out a dress for your wedding. But that's not really the world a lot of us live in. And maybe it wasn't even ever like that. But in that, the sheriff is really just like a referee, basically, in the Andy Griffith show sense. He's not really there to command you. I guess I have to agree, because there are some people that need to be commanded. Yeah, sorry. Abstract art that doesn't represent anything shouldn't be considered art at all? I actually disagree. I know I just went on about entertainment, about how entertainment gives meaning, but the idea of that you have to, that if it doesn't mean anything, that means it's detrimental, that art can't simply exist for art's sake, that you can't listen to Beethoven and not extrapolate some meaning out of it. I think that's dumb. I should be able to listen to Beethoven and enjoy it without having to discern a meaning out of it. Oh, well, this represents the rain that battered the ship as he sailed across the ocean, and the drums represent the waves that crashed against the hull. Whatever, dude. I don't care. I just want to listen to some cool music. Sorry. In criminal justice, punishment should be more important than rehabilitation. I'm an incentive guy. If you penalize someone for doing something bad, they're not going to want to do it. And that's what it is. If someone's going around raping people, I don't want to rehabilitate him. I want to punish him. It's a waste of time to try to rehabilitate some criminals. I'm a Christian. I believe in redemption. I believe in forgiveness. At the same time, there's some people who just won't. So I wish it was a neutral, but we'll just go with agree. The business person and the manufacturer are more important than the writer and the artist. No. Name one major manufacturer from 150 years ago. Now name artists from 300, 400, 500 years ago. You could think of them now. You could think of Van Gogh, or you could think of Picasso. Picasso was a little more modern, but whatever. The musical, the writers, we still talk about Mark Twain and Jane Austen. We still talk about those people. So let's say the manufacturers are more important. They have a more concrete influence on society, and they're necessary. I'm not saying that those people are unimportant. Mothers may have careers, but their first duty is to be homemakers. That's sort of a thing of the past now. It's not really that feasible to have a single income household. And really, that's how it was in the traditional nuclear family, which, by the way, there's a lot of reading to be done. There's a lot of reading to be done on that. But there's statistics that if you're in a nuclear family where the mother can stay home and take care of the children, where you have a mother and a father, that your chances of living in poverty go down, your chances of graduating high school go up, and your chances of ending up in jail go down. Now, there might be some sort of correlation, causation thing, since certain people are more likely to just end up in jail, and more people are more likely to not finish high school than others, and there happens to be a separation there. But still, the point stands. I've taken this test a billion times. Not a billion, but I've taken it periodically, and I never understand this. Multinational companies are unethically exploiting the plant genetic resources of developing countries? That means the plant resources is they're cutting down trees, plant genetic resources? I don't know. I wish it was a neutral, because I don't know what that means. Making peace with the establishment is an important aspect of maturity. Ooh. No, you don't want to constantly live at war. But at the same time, I've already explained the importance of dissent, the importance of having a devil's advocate, the importance of having a different opinion. And simply saying, well, you know what? The establishment is right. What everyone else is saying is right. The Overton window has to be this big. We can't talk about anything else. That's not true. I don't understand how this is political. Astrology accurately explains many things. Disagree? You cannot be moral without being religious. And this is a stupid question. If you know anything about writing and how to write heroes and villains, you know that every villain is the hero of his story. The villain considers himself to be a hero. He doesn't act like he's not this mustache twirling, top hat wearing villain who's like, oh, I love being evil. He thinks what he's doing is good. Like, let's take someone who's universally hated. Hitler was being moral. He was following his own moral code. So everyone has a morality. He was doing what he thought was right. He wasn't twirling his mustache saying, man, I love being evil. That no one does that. So everyone is moral. Everyone has their own morality. That's not the question. The question is, what morality is right? Which morality is correct? Is morality black and white, or is it one giant shade of gray? Or are there different gradients? The question is not that, well, if you're not religious, that means you're immoral or you're amoral. But the question is, what is the basis of your morality? Because if morality comes from your own opinion, you're a moral person, I'm a moral person, Hitler was moral, Gandhi was moral. Everyone's following their own morality. So if morality is based on your opinion, then anyone can be moral as long as they're following their own opinion. So I'm gonna soft disagree because this question is the wrong question. Charity is better than Social Security as a means of helping the genuinely disadvantaged. Agree, because Social Security is a scam. How is this religious? Is Social Security a scam? You'll find these propositions on religion a breeze. How is this a religious idea of Social Security being a scam? I have a feeling that Social Security is going to collapse in my lifetime, and by the time I'm old enough to retire, I'm not going to see a dime of everything I'm paying into Social Security. Or Social Security is just like social welfare, is that what that means? Anyway, I agree in either case. Some people are naturally unlucky. No, I don't know. It is important that my child's school instills religious values. Religious values like what? Religious values like you shall not murder, you shall not commit adultery, you shall not steal, you shall not give false testimony against your neighbor. Are you talking about those religious values? Because yeah, absolutely. Strongly agree. Oh, well, those aren't religious values, those are just societal. Okay, whatever, dude. Whatever. Oh, finally a look at sex. Perfect, my favorite. Sex outside of marriage is usually immoral. It's always immoral. And this is something that we've really lost, especially since the sexual revolution. And this is the reason that porn is so addictive, is because that feeling is addictive. That's how people get addicted to porn. The point, and I'm a Christian, so I believe sex was invented by God, to that addictive property of sex is there to bind you to your wife. So misusing that and being bound to this person and that person and being addicted to that person and this girl, and then somehow on the line you're addicted to 5 different people and spreading that around, I don't think that's good. And this hormone oxytocin is also released during sex. And this is in the Prairie Vole. But still, it has wider implications. Oxytocin released into the brain of the female during sexual activity is important for forming a pair bond with her sexual partner. So sex is for reproduction, yes, but it's also for addicting you to that other person so that you become inextricably bound to them. That's what marriage is for. You're legally bound, you're covenantally bound. You're, in a real way, when you're using those chemicals and those compounds in your brain and in your body, you're being physiologically bound to each other in that act. And that's what it's for. It's not just for recreation. It's for, yes, making children, but also for that bonding. That's the point of it. And misusing it devalues it. Like it's not the right way to use it. And this is like we understand this with other things. Like if you go to the store and buy a can of Raid, if you buy a can of Wasp spray, it says right on the side, it is a violation of federal law to use this for anything other than the intended purpose. Because Raid would be a very good substitute for pepper spray. If you spray someone with that, they'll stop for sure. But it's against federal law to do that because it's not the intended use. That's not what it's intended for. So that's why that's a strongly agree. Controversial, same-sex couples. Like I said, the best situation for children is when they have a mother and a father. But is having 2 dads... Yeah, the question is, a same-sex couple in a stable, loving relationship should not be excluded from the possibility of child adoption. It's like a kid needs a mother and a father. So if he has 2 dads or 2 moms, that's not the best for him. But is it better than living in an orphanage? Yeah, sorry, it is. It's better than living in an orphanage. I don't know about this. Should it be legal? Should you put people in jail? I don't know. I wish there was a neutral. I'm not sure what to think about this. Because I am a free speech guy. I'm not into abridging speech. I'm just gonna say agree. Sorry, Christian friends, but I sort of if you want free speech, you have to let people who disagree with you speak as well. That's what free speech means. What goes on in a private bedroom between consenting adults is no business of the state. What if they're privately plotting an assassination? I know that's not what that means. But this is not a question of should it be. This is like the same thing I'm talking about. This binary choice. It's either, well, everything's okay and everything is permissible, or we need to point guns at people and say you can't do that. You have to put a gun to someone's head and say you're not allowed to do that. And that's not the case. There's a position that says, okay, we understand that this exists and people do this, but we need to be promoting these societal norms as the normative, as the natural, as the good. And it's not about killing people or hating people. It's about, as a society, what is good for us? What can we put forward? But this video is already really long. No one can feel naturally homosexual. Disagree. There are... Now, I'm a Christian. I believe homosexuality is a sin. But that's because I believe any sex outside of man and woman marriage is a sin. So that's not even, like, the most controversial thing, I believe. But at the same time, drunkenness is a sin, and people do have... It's proven that people have a genetic... Some people have a genetic... predisposition to alcoholism, that they can become addicted to alcohol if, it's easier for them to get addicted to alcohol genetically. And I'm a Calvinist, so I believe in total depravity, that the human heart is so far from God that without a redemptive work by God himself, man in his natural state is fine wallowing in his sin. So you can feel naturally homosexual. There might even be a genetic component, I don't know. But that doesn't change anything. Openness about sex has gone too far? I don't know. I'm actually going to disagree. I think the reason we ended up with a sexual revolution is because we weren't open about it. We weren't open about the proper use of it, and this is like this goofy idea that people before the sexual revolution, like, were prudes and hated sex. They had 12 children. You don't have 12 children without liking sex. Are you kidding me? Discussing things and the proper use of these things, other than just saying, you're gonna get AIDS, you're gonna... having a proper understanding of these things is absolutely necessary. We need to be open about that. We need to be open about the proper use of this, but it's not in the Overton window. It's not in the list of acceptable dialogue. Sorry guys, but that's my opinion. So let's take a look. My God, no. No, please. Please, guys, I'm not a centrist. So again, this isn't really... I think they ended up this way because I'm not... Like, I have points with all of these things that I disagree with. Go back and watch the video and tell me if you think that I'm a leftist authoritarian. But I have issues with each of these groups, and there's things that they get wrong. I actually think that this only proves that the political compass is entirely inaccurate. Not inaccurate, but inadequate for describing your political philosophy, for sure. If I end up on the left, for sure.